I'm here with Cheryl Boglioli, and she has a super cool idea for making really cool flowers out of fabric and felt that are perfect for home decor, for you to wear, and you can also, of course, make them out of paper for any scrapbook page or card. This is a great idea, Cheryl.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your beautiful project.
This is Fringe flowers, and it's really fun because you can make it out of different fabrics, fabric scraps that you have. You can mix a little felt in here, some solids, some patterns. You can make home decor DIY embellishments out of it, or you can turn it into something you can wear. You can even turn it into a small card or a scrapbook embellishment, either one.
Which is cool. And you said we're starting with fabric, and
Yes.
I noticed you have a couple different fabric choices for us here. So tell us a little bit about why you chose these fabrics.
Well, they were remnants, so they were scraps that I had, which made it easy. Also, I really looked for things that had a small pattern to them. Because they're being used in the background and fringed, you don't want something that has a large overpowering pattern to it. So just little small prints. This worked really well.
And these are certainly, if you go to a quilt store and you're overwhelmed by all those choices, they sell them as fat eighths, fat quarters, where you just get a tiny little piece.
Yes.
You don't need to actually buy a yard of fabric.
No, not at all. Doesn't take much at all to do this.
And then for your felts, I know you've kind of color coordinated. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you chose these colors to match the colors you have here?
I definitely wanted to be color coordinated, but I wanted something very bright. We're ready for bright colors and things that are trendy and popular right now. So I chose colors that would go with the fabrics that I had picked out.
Let's make some flowers.
All right. So the first thing that you want to do to make these really fluffy flowers is you want to have 4 layers, at least 4 layers. So to work with 4 layers, I just kind of take my fabric and fold it in half, and then that way when we cut, we have 2 pieces here, 2 pieces behind it.
Because you've actually already folded it in half, so you've actually folded it in half
Yes, I folded
twice.
it in half again. Yes, you're correct. So we're just going to cut a circle. You could trace your circles on here if you knew how big you want them, but we're just going to wing it today.
I like that. Flowers are uneven and imperfect, so why not just wing it?
So we're just going to cut some, and I like the whimsical, wobbly look of these. So I kind of like that they're not perfect.
And you could, of course, place a pin in the center of the 4 layers if you really wanted them to match up.
Correct.
Now, do you have any special tips for the kinds of scissors that work best for cutting fabric? Because I know sometimes people get frustrated when they can't cut through fabric cleanly.
Any kind of sharp scissors will work, definitely. Don't use the old scissors that you've been using everywhere else. But you want something that is going to be able to cut through fabric. So good fabric scissors. And if your circle isn't perfect the first time, you can always go back.
And cut again. Nobody will ever know.
A little, there we go. All right, so we have 4 pieces of fabric that we cut. And another reason why I cut 4 is because the way we folded it, you see that we have a front and back, and you can't tell because the layers.
Oh, that's
so
right.
So it looks pretty no matter which
on both sides,
right.
Which is perfect for something you're wearing or if somebody's going to see it from the other side.
So now I have my base. And then I like to go in the opposite direction because it just makes it really easy. So I'll start off with what's going to be my top layer, and I will just cut a small circle. And because these already have circles on here, I kind of have a little guideline that I can work with. Isn't that easy?
Well, that's a super fun idea too, because you're doing essentially what they call in the quilting world fussy cutting, which is to say you're choosing a part of the pattern that you want to be exactly where you want it. So if you had a felt or a fabric or a paper that had a dog or a heart or anything like that, you could put it right at the center exactly where you wanted it to be, so you really can control it as much as you'd like to.
Correct. So now that I have my base, now I can use this as my little cheat sheet for the next one. So I can just take it and cut it out. Just kind of go around
super
it.
easy. And this would be a great thing, I could think, to do like with friends or something like that, because you can all just get to cutting and chatting and you're not really having to pay too much attention to what's happening.
Correct. And then I also like to throw in another fabric just to give you this little contrast. So I could go and take one of these other pieces here and cut the third one.
So what's going to be the difference if we look back at the finished project? You can see the difference between the fabric and the felt, which is the felt feels a little bit stiffer, whereas the fabric has that nice soft look. So by adding in, mixing up fabric and felt, you get that soft and hard together, which I think is a really nice combination.
And it works too because we're mixing patterns with solids.
Okay.
So same thing.
So now I know you told me when you have a stack like this, you're going to glue it all together, right?
That is correct.
With some glue, just to keep it all in place. Just put a dot in the center. But how do we do the fringing?
Well, let me tell you one thing about the glue, though. When you're adding glue, and to glue these together. Make sure that you don't go all the way out to your edges because then you won't be able to snip through it.
So you won't be able to do the fringing.
Right. So when you start gluing it together, it's best just to make a small ring inside of it. So we'll just make a little ring.
See, that feels very ambitious. For me, I'm a super lazy crafter. I'd put a dot and be like, it's fine.
Yeah, no, and that'll be fine. And for those who like to sew, you could sew instead of gluing as well.
That's true. That would be cool too.
Yes.
Or of course
But
you
we
have
want
some
to
of
make
these
this easy.
beautiful decorative brads, which you can see right here, which you could simply poke a hole and put them through, and then you wouldn't have to glue it all, right?
That's true. Yes,
That's
correct.
another cool alternative. I like that this is such a customizable idea.
It is.
Okay, so fringe me up, baby.
All right, so I have that one. So now we have another one all ready to go. And so you're just going to take, this time I like using a smaller pair of scissors with a very sharp point to them. And we're just going to fringe into it. And you can go ahead and fringe into a little bit of the felt if you want, but you just don't want to go all the way to the center. And you just kind of want to come in here and just snip little edges.
Obviously, if you go all the way to the center, it'll fall apart.
Right, it'll fall apart.
So
but
you'll figure that out
sometimes you
pretty
get it
quickly that wasn't a good idea.
Exactly. So you're just going to come in here and just keep fringing.
You know, they sell very fancy fringe scissors, but really, I think we can all fringe things. I think it's pretty easy to do.
And you can make these little snips as wide as you want if you wanted it, you know, a bolder, floppy look, or you can make little snips, and they don't have to be perfect at all. You see, I'm not measuring here. I'm just snipping.
And having a good time.
Yes.
And I know that you told me something really cool about the back side of this, which if you flip that over, you can show everybody.
Yes. So I kept one piece of felt that I cut out solid, and we adhered this to the back as well. But beforehand, I just took and folded it in half again, and took the little scissors and cut 2 little snips so that they're together. And now
I can see you've put the bobby pin in there, but obviously we have some skewers here.
Correct.
Which you can just slip right through there if you wanted to put them in a vase like you did. But
correct.
You brought one more idea, and you said that I get to play along with you too.
Yes.
Which is, if you want, you can of course use pattern paper to make these flowers.
Yes.
But you also said to me, and you know I'm a paint girl, you said that we can use all kinds of paint and inks and stencils and painting and whatever else we want.
make your own pattern.
Here you go, and we can make our own pattern paper. So do you have tips about using stencils? And would you want the big one or the small one?
I'll do the small one.
Okay. I always think that one of my favorite tips is to not get too much paint onto your sponge.
Yes.
So that when you're doing it, you don't want a ton on there. You want to keep dabbing off so that it's a very small amount, so that when you apply it, you get a nice, clean, controlled area of paint. So if I pull this stencil off, what you'll see is that beautiful controlled image. And again, with the colors, which I think is so smart that you chose here, it's the same idea of the warm and the cool, the warm and the cool, which I think is great. And here's one other tip, because I'm a tip junkie, you know how that goes, which is I use the blue paint, but I want to switch to orange. Now I could use another sponge, but instead, pardon my reach, I'm going to reach right across you, I'm going to steal my scissors, right? And then I'm just going to go ahead, and now I have a new sponge. Great idea.